Hi lovelies, hope you're doing fine. Today is a very special video because it's not about me. It's about someone very special to this channel, very active member, Alison. You probably know her from her repeated live chat appearances, and she is going through her OMAD, and she is kind enough to share with us the genesis of her journey. And this is such a priceless account because it will show you guys how complicated things are and how we carry those problems from as early as our childhood. And you will see how unique her story is and how similar it is as well. When I thought of sharing this stage with other people, I thought of kind of having each and one of you, whoever want to participate, sending me those videos, and I will chop it up and kind of have a summary or some sort of a collage of many of you. But when I started doing that with Alison and Ryan, he kindly shared videos with me too, and it's upcoming. I figure out that each and one of those journeys stand on its own and deserve its own attention. So without further ado, I want you to enjoy this really honest account, see how you feel about it, and share with us your thoughts, and enjoy.
Okay, so why I decided to start the 1 meal a day intermittent fasting kind of journey. I have a horrible relationship with food. Terrible. This was about weight loss for me, but more than that, it's about trying to come to some place in my life where I can eat food and not be afraid of food and just be normal. I have all of these fear foods, things that I'm literally really afraid to eat that upset me, and I hide it, but it makes me feel terrible. Like donuts, I can't describe the anxiety that I feel if someone expects me to eat a donut. I started out as a totally normal weight kid when I was little. But I lived in a family that was really food dysfunctional, I think, and really focused constantly on weight. Even now, my parents are in their 70s, and they will, I don't see them that much, but if I do, like if they come into one of my kids' birthday parties or something, they won't eat the food that we have there. And they have always, and continue to even now, see people who they think are overweight and make nasty comments about them. You know, like, oh, have another donut, ha ha ha, or something. Maybe that's where my donut thing comes from. They have always been like that. And growing up, that really bothered me. It made me feel bad inside. My mom had all these foods she wouldn't eat. She was always on a diet. If she was trying to get dressed for work in the morning, she would spend an hour, and I would hear her throwing things out of her closet and talking to herself and saying, I have nothing that fits me, I can't do this, and getting really upset, and putting something on and saying, I look so fat in this. I mean, like, this is an everyday thing. Having to buy a dress for an anniversary party and having a breakdown at the store because nothing fit, or she didn't think it fit, but she was thin because she was always not eating. My dad would spend an awful lot of time telling us that we were fat and we were gross and embarrassing, and make comments in front of people. Once I had lost some weight, and then I had started gaining it back, and I was like 10, and we were at a public pool in the winter. It was like a hot pool, and we were there, and I got out of the pool, because the thing that you would do is you'd jump out and roll in the snow, and then you'd get back in the pool, and I got out to roll in the snow, and he goes, well, I don't want to say anything here, but it might be time to get back on track. And he poked my blubber in front of a bunch of people, and I was so embarrassed. So anyway, they were both really food focused, and weird about food and always dieting. And things were fine, but there were like weird things that we couldn't have. You know, we could never ever have dessert ever. We didn't have milk very often. We had Diet Coke a lot, and it was encouraged. Like, I got to the point where I was seventh grade maybe, and I could put away like a case of Diet Coke in a couple days. I never drank water, just Diet Coke all the time. The flip side of that was that my mom like didn't enjoy cooking, and so she would feed us like weird things. Like, I ate top ramen all the time. I just loved it, so I was happy with that. So I'd eat it before I went to school and for dinner. And I started to like get a little chubby. I was a chubby kid by the time I was like second grade. Kids were making fun of me, and I was unhappy and embarrassed. I went to the doctor for a physical, and I think they told my mom that I had high cholesterol maybe. I was second grade, and she like freaked out, had this big talk with me about how I could be better if I wanted to be, and if I would lose weight, then she would buy me a new comic book every time I lost weight. And she put me in Weight Watchers, and I hated it. I was so embarrassed. Like, you had to stand in this line of people, and they were all older women, like women my age now. I'm 38. So they're all like women, you know, mid-30s, 40s, 50s, like at Weight Watchers, and they would stand in a line, and they would take you in this room and weigh you on a scale, but it wasn't a room, it was like a booth, and everybody could hear what your weight was and if you'd lost weight. And I just was so embarrassed. And, you know, kids were still making fun of me at school, and if I said anything to my parents, they would kind of say, well, you know, you're fat, so people are gonna make fun of you. So I didn't really have like a safe place to have somebody tell me it's okay, like, you're still a nice person, you're still a good person, it doesn't matter if you need to lose a little weight. I didn't have that, and I felt really bad about myself, and I went up and down from second grade on. It was just a mess. And then I got to high school, and I was like fat again, totally miserable, hated my life. Never had dates, never had any, I had a few friends, but to be honest, not a lot, because I was really unhappy, so I wasn't friendly. I went back to Weight Watchers, and I started losing weight, and I started losing like a lot of weight. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I was ever really thin, because I know that I don't know, like when I look in the mirror, what I see is not right. I always feel big, even if I'm not, because I think I go through like different stages of big, but I don't know what I looked like. But I lost a lot of weight, and people started like kind of paying attention to me and talking to me, people who hadn't before. And to be honest, it really made me so angry, because I was still the same person. But then like there was this other sick part of me that couldn't get enough of that, even though I resented it. So I was just like crazy. I was that girl that would just stand in the corner and like glare at everyone and constantly like just angry and quiet. And so, you know, I didn't have dates or anything, and that was my own fault. So I was going to Weight Watchers, and then I kind of hit a point where I hit a plateau, and there were a couple weeks where I'd only lost like a half a pound. And my dad said to me, if you don't get serious about this, we are going to not pay for you to go to Weight Watchers anymore. So I totally panicked. So I started cutting food out, and I cut more food out, and I cut more food out, and I cut more food out, and I started losing weight. And I got to the point where I was just eating like a bag of fat-free popcorn a day, and that was it. And apparently there were people in the extended family who saw this, who thought there was something really wrong, but my parents, I don't know if they didn't see or what. You can only do that for so long before your body starts resisting that too. And I was also running all the time, like running 3 to 5 miles a day, like crazy. Then I started to get into like, I had like 2 car accidents because I was so just like loopy from being hungry because I wasn't eating. And I progressed from like the popcorn to eating like nothing, or just eating like a mouthful of something. Or like, you know, something disgusting like fat-free ice cream. But then like occasionally I would be just so hungry that I couldn't take it anymore, and I would eat something, and then it just clicked in my head. I'm like, I can throw this up and it's gone. So that is when I started throwing up. And my parents did not notice anything. One of my friends ended up telling them that I was doing it, and it was like this big thing where they said that I should go to therapy, and I said, I'm not going to therapy, but I'll stop. But I didn't stop. And that continued like on and off for like pretty much up to where I am now. And it's so embarrassing to admit that. Sometimes it would be, I would eat nothing and then just throw up sometimes. But there was always some degree of not eating and some degree of throwing up. And then I would go up and I would go down, you know, weight-wise. Then and I thought I was never gonna get to have kids because I was married to a pretty nasty guy. And I didn't want to have kids with him. And we got divorced and I met my current husband and we both had this like intense desire to have kids. So we had kids. And when I was pregnant, I was so happy. And I was like, I am not gonna mess this up. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not thinking about this. So yeah, I definitely gained weight. You know, my kids are both big, but I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I ate. I didn't have any morning sickness with either one. So I ate. Who cares? I wanted them to be healthy, so I gained weight. And my kids are, my girl is almost 4 and my boy is 5. So they're close together. That's how we planned it. So I gained weight, had my son, and then gained more weight. And you know, I like lose some after I had my daughter. I lost some, but then I kind of go back up. And there would be times when I would throw up, and nobody would know that. Like nobody would be around. But it was like I would get so angry at myself because I looked at my kids and there were these perfect, beautiful little beings that were all mine, and I could never imagine looking at them and thinking, you're fat, you're a disappointment. I just couldn't even imagine that. And I wanted to be better than that. I didn't want them to see me being scared to eat a stupid piece of food or throwing up or not eating. I was like so angry at myself, and I'm like, I have got to get myself together. This is ridiculous. So I was trying without much success, and then I came across the 1 Meal a Day Diary channel.
Just remember